Welcome to the Digitally Dreaming Off the Gridiron podcast. I am joined today by two-time Pro Bowl, first-team All-Pro, 1997 All-Madden Team selection, second all-time interceptions leader in Houston Oilers, Tennessee Titans franchise history, Kentucky Pro Football Hall of Fame inductee, class of 2010, former NFL and JUCO and D3 college coach, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Cris Dishman. Chris, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, and you? How things going?
I'm doing all right, man. My Niners in the playoffs, so
I see. I see you representing those Niners for sure, and the
yeah,
Raiders in the playoffs too.
it's crazy, man. And you
So,
actually, let's talk about that. What were your takeaways? Because now the regular season's over. What are your takeaways from Week 17, and kind of what teams are you looking out for, or kind of what teams stood out for you heading into the playoffs?
well, well, of course, Kansas City always going to be Kansas City.
Right.
I'm expecting Kansas City and Green Bay to meet up into the championship. Those are my two teams that I'm thinking. But the Titans is always going to be there with a good running back. So it's going to be, I think it's going to be the Titans and Kansas City in the championship game, and it's going to be one well of a game. So from yesterday's games, it's like everything crazy that happened. Uh, the from the first downs, going for it on the fourth down. That Raiders game was a whirlwind.
Right. That Raiders game was just crazy. Into the Niners game, I mean, kind of like back and forth, so many ebbs and flows. And Amari Thomas, his positioning in that last interception. Let me get your take from someone who actually played the position, at the highest level. Kind of what was your take? Because obviously the route, when he basically undercut OBJ on the route and he just stayed with him the whole time. He didn't lay a finger on it, but he timed the ball placement just so well. He high pointed the ball so well. I mean, it was just insane, So
it was a great coverage and a great interception. You could tell he did his job where he's supposed to be doing his job. It looked like it was a what we call cover 2-man or cover 5, something like that, is trailing underneath, and that's exactly picture perfect how he played it. I wish I can get a copy of that tape and show my guys how you play 2-man. So that's exactly how he's supposed to play it. He did exactly what he's supposed to be doing. And if you do your job, that's what happens. Good things will happen.
That's exactly it. Let me see if I can pull it up. There it is. Yeah. See, he stays on top of him and boom,
Yeah, like I said, that was a great interception.
Such a great interception, I mean, it's amazing. Yeah.
That's a good job of him tracking the football. Once that football, and that's what DB's got to realize. They always think that receivers always think they're open, AKA right. Mike Irvin's. He always thought he was open. But that's what they fail to realize. Once that ball in the air, we have every right to the football as they do. So if you can be a good tracker of the football like that guy was and have good ball skills like Xavier and Howard there in Miami, then you're going to catch a lot of interceptions and make a lot of plays all because you believe in your skills.
100%. And that's a perfect segue because now we can get into your career as an athlete and as a player. So obviously, I'm not sure if you know this, but I play in the Arena League, so that's why I got these guys.
I see that.
Yeah. JUCO, AIF, and then semi-pro / arena in Chicago back in 2018.
That's a lot of rings. I wish I could wear that many rings. I don't have.
I mean, I'm not going to oversell myself. Some of them aren't championship rings. Some of them are just commemorative anniversary rings, like from JUCO and stuff like that. But I mean, I still wear them with pride. So, 100%. So kind of, yeah. So obviously for you, was football your first love, and what was it like growing up in Kentucky? During your time, and what got you into football?
No, really, from Louisville, and really my first love was boxing. Muhammad Ali is one of my childhood heroes. I didn't grow that too far from his house, so boxing was it. But once I went to one couple of the boxing tryouts and matches and got hit upside the head 2 or 3 times, I felt like, nah, that's not for me. Then I fell in love with basketball, being from Louisville, with the Cardinals. I grew up watching the Cardinals, Daryl Griffin, Rodney McCray's, the McCray brothers and stuff like that. So I grew up watching them. So basketball was my second love. And then once I realized that after 12 feet, my shot wasn't going in, then I realized that and I'm only 6 feet, 6'1", then I realized that I couldn't have a career in basketball. And then I switched to my third love, which was football. So as I switched to third love of football, I was a receiver all the time. I went from running back in grade school to receiver in high school. And when I got to college at Purdue, I was switched from receiver to defensive back. So that didn't sit too good for me because I actually wanted to transfer out of Purdue because they switched me from receiver to defensive back, but I hung in there and stayed with it. And, they knew more than I did. 13 years later, I had a good career there in the NFL playing defensive back. So
100%. Talk to me about your recruiting experience to go Purdue. What's set at Purdue apart from all the other schools that were recruiting you during your junior, senior year in high school?
Well, I had a very good alumni parent, Bob Holloway, God rest his soul. I think he went to every single basketball game I played in, every single track meet I went to. Coach Leon Burnett, who I still talk to today, used to come down to visit. Him and my dad just hit it off right away. Chester Caddis, a guy also who's recruiting the area, they just hit it off so well with my parents. And I thought that was discussable team, Purdue, Indiana, and Michigan. Lee Corso got fired that week, so I knew it wasn't going to be Indiana. And then Michigan was probably about 7.5 hours from Louisville. And with our car, I knew our car was not able to make it all the way up there. I'm a parent's boy, my mama and a daddy's boy. So I felt like I wanted to go somewhere close where my mom and dad can actually get to drive and see me play. So that's how Purdue came along. But like I said, I had a great relationship with Coach Burnett, Coach Caddis, and Bob Holloway. That's who sold me on Purdue. So that's what happened of why I chose Purdue. It was only 3.5 hours away from Louisville, and the relationship I had with Coach Burnett, Coach Caddis.
100%, and I think that's so key, right? For any student athletes who may be listening to it, if, or I guess any programs or recruiters, because back when, when my last guest, LeVon Kirkland, or sorry, 2 guests ago, LeVon Kirkland, when he was on, he talked about the recruiting process for Clemson. It was also that interpersonal relationship with the coaches, right? When you can build that interpersonal relationship with the student athlete, you can really kind of set yourself apart. And then by the time student athlete like yourself or anyone else steps foot on campus, then essentially it makes it easier to make that decision. So I think that's great. That Coach Burnett and Coach Campus, right? Was it Coach
Caddis?
Caddis, yeah, Coach Burnett, Coach Caddis went out of their way to build that relationship, and I think that kind of was that. Would you say that was kind of helpful to help you transition from switching positions in college from receiver to DB, or kind of how was that transition for you? Because it sounded like it was a little difficult, and you had to kind of work your way into it.
It was rough. It was like I said, God works in great ways.
Right.
The first meeting when everybody come in, it was offense stay in one room and defense had to go another room. So I was still sitting there, and then my position coach, Ron Mims, kept yelling my name, Dishman, come on. And me, I was like, okay, it's another Dishman. I wonder where he's at. It's another Dishman in the room. But Lord knows it was me he was calling to go to the defensive room. So I'm still sitting there. I'm not moving. I'm an offensive player. I'm a receiver. Okay. And he came up behind me and, Dishman, you hear me calling you? I said, yes, sir, but I'm an offense. He said, you defense now. So I was like blown away. So I went over there, and it was only one seat left because I was the last one coming over there. And the only seat there was by, you guys may know this guy, played almost 18 years in the league, Hall of Famer, Rod Woodson out of Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Yeah.
That was the only seat available left. And I plopped down there by him, and he saw that I was so destroyed and bad. And he reached over and tapped me. He thought about, man, you can play this position. You'll be all right. I teach you. And then, left that meeting that day, went home. There wasn't any cell phones back then. So I don't know how, if you can appreciate this. There wasn't any cell phones.
Oh, yeah.
And going downstairs to my dorm in Tarkington Hall, got on a phone and called my mom and dad. Now, granted, my dad probably answered. He's deceased right now. My dad died when he was 89 years old.
Wow.
No, right, he just turned 90, right, excuse me. And he probably answered the phone 10 to 15 times in his whole lifetime. Unfortunate for me, I called that day and he answered the phone. I told him, spilling my guts out to him, they transferred me to this receiver. I want to transfer. It wasn't no transfer portal. I needed him to call Michigan. I wanted to go to Michigan and play receiver. And all of a sudden, he said, no, you be all right. And all of a sudden, I heard a big buzz. As you hung up the phone back in the day, you heard this big buzz sound. So I figured that, oh, we must got disconnected. Called back. My mom, being the supportive wife she is and was, called back. She answered the phone. I was spilling my guts out to her. She said, well, your daddy said that you'd be okay. And when we get some money, we're going to bring you a care package. So I'm thinking, look, my life is over. Things is done. I need to get out of here. I don't want to play this receiver stuff. But, my dad and mom taught me great lessons of sticking it out, make things work. And like I said, fortunate for me that I did stick it out and ended up playing 13 years in the league at defensive back. But like I said, I had some great coaches. I can't say it's all me. I had some very, very good coaches from high school, Coach Maddock, Coach Haddock, then getting there at Purdue, had Coach Ron Mims, Coach Burnett. Then my last year, I had Coach Bennett, and then my rookie year at the Oilers, Lord knows I had the Coach Saban. Nick Saban was my DB coach.
There we go.
Very, very, very good foundation coach. And like I said, if I had a DB, I have a son now playing DB. If you ever have an opportunity to go play under Coach Saban, that's exactly where he goes. He's a very foundation coach. And that's what I like about Coach Saban. The little things and the big things does matter with him.
And that actually registered my memory from when I played. Obviously, I didn't make it to the league, right? But when I played in JUCO, and I played, obviously, my first coach in JUCO, because I didn't play in high school at San Jose City College, was Coach Keith Dub Williams, who's now the passing game offensive assistant for the Baltimore Ravens. And kind of those foundations, right? Because I was coming in out of high school, I didn't know how to play receiver. I didn't know I didn't know shit. I was like, okay, what am I supposed to? Like, like you said, cover two, zone, man. What are these schemes? Like, what do you mean 5-7 in out? Breaks, getting out. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but you coached up, help us establish that foundation, kind of like coaching Saban and the coaches you had help prepare you for that next 13-year career, which we're about to get into. In the National Football League, right? And I think that for anyone, definitely, again. Find your sweet spot. Also work with the coaches, but be open-minded because sometimes you may not get your first option to your story, right? You may not get that first option, but whatever your coaches see in you, they probably see what you may excel at, and you may be able to build an illustrious career like you did, with that.
Right.
So
yeah, like I said, I'm fortunate, like after I got through Coach Saban, I had two of the Rams corners. I had Coach Thomas, then Coach Perry. They both played for the Rams at the time and came back coaching. Then I had Coach Bettis. I had some great coaches throughout my career. Coach Zook, Coach Hayes. I can go on and on of the foundation coaches that made me who the players and the drills I do today with my guys that I've learned from those guys. I took a little from here and a little from there and a lot from here and a lot from there. And that's how you become a good coach, taking what others have given you. And that's what I'm trying to do is take what they have given me that worked for 13 years, pass it down to the younger generation, and hopefully it works for them.
100%. Now let's get into your draft. You mentioned Michael Irvin, who was one of your draft class members. If I'm not mistaken, 1988 NFL draft, I believe there are 5 Hall of Famers: Michael Irvin, Thurman Thomas, Tim Brown, DeVante Dawson, a teammate of another guest of the show, Levon Kirkland, and one more whose name escapes me right now.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure it got to be more than that because that class was
stacked
stacked with some guys.
100%. And you were the 125th overall pick in the 4th round. You were the lowest drafted player to make multiple Pro Bowl teams and the lowest drafted player of that draft to make the All-Pro team. So kudos to you on that. I'm not sure if you knew that.
No, that's good stats to know. Yeah. I did not. As a player, you just play the game. You don't really watch your stats. At least I did.
Right.
I didn't watch my stats of how many tackles, how many interceptions, how many this. People ask me all the time how many interceptions you have, and then I have to tell them, hold on, because I have to go Google it and make sure what it is. I can't remember off the top of my head the interceptions. So, that's a great thing about sports in general, that you play you play a game and get paid for a game that you played as a childhood that you love so much that it doesn't really matter. It's all about the wins and losses. It's all about, like you said, the rings on your fingers. Unfortunately for me that I don't have any rings on my fingers, I was not able to get to the Pro Bowl. I mean, to the Super Bowl. I made the Pro Bowls, the All-Maddens, and all those accolades are fine and dandy, but the ultimate team the ultimate team goal is to win a championship, to win the Super Bowl every year. And everyone else, no matter if you get to the Super Bowl and lose, or you lose in the first round, everybody else is second place because the Super Bowl winner is the Super Bowl winner.
100%. That's how it is, right? Either you're first or you're last, like Ricky Bobby
Right.
said.
Right.
So talk to me about kind of your draft experience and what was it like for you stepping into the Houston Oilers Foundation or organization, as a rookie back in '88.
Well, when I got the call from Mike Holloway, God rest his soul, he called me and told me, do I know anything about Houston? Well, at the time, being a big Ali fan, only person that I knew and hated was George Foreman. He was chief of Houston, and I knew I saw him hitting up on Ali, and I did not like that. So I did not like it. I told George Foreman that years ago when I finally met him at an autograph session. Him when I was there, he just had a good laugh about that. But that's the only thing I really knew about Houston. So Mike Holloway called me and said, we're into the 5th round. We're going to take you with the next pick. If no one else take you, are you ready to play? And I said, yes, sir, I'm ready to play. So, and then he passed the phone to Coach Saban. Coach Saban congratulated me, tell me get here ready to play, stuff like that, and gave me his good speech, and that was it. But my draft party was so big, I had to wait till everybody calmed down. I had a draft party of 3, myself, my mom, and my dad. Well, my mom and I was watching old Andy Griffin stories when I got the phone call. My dad was back in my 1-bedroom apartment in West Lafayette, Indiana. He was asleep. So when I got the call and told him I was going to get drafted by the Oilers, my mom called out to my dad. My dad's like, oh, well, okay, well, let's get ready to go. He was about to wake up and drive back to Louisville. And I told him, no, they spent the night. So they ended up spending the night at my apartment in West Lafayette, Indiana. And my mom and I started watching Andy Griffin reruns. So that was my big draft party. Of course, I was excited. My childhood dreams is finally getting drafted. And that's what guys got to realize, that once you get drafted, you still have to put in the work to make the team.
100%.
I was a 5th round draft choice. They already had 4 corners on the team. They drafted a corner in the 2nd round, Quentin Jones out of Pittsburgh. They drafted him in the 2nd round. So more than likely, me making the team was very slim. So I had to come in and put in the work. That's why I used to run the stadium steps there at Rossay at night. That's why I used to go out and do my workout, my push-ups, my sit-ups, my back pedals, my turn and goes, and all that before I can make the team. And when I had a determination of I wasn't going to be told no. And I still have that determination. No is not an option to me. So I just worked my butt off and was able to, like I said, was able to listen to the coaches that I had, and I was able to be successful for them. So I can't put it all on me, but it's God, my coaches, and with the athletic talent that God has given me.
100%. Obviously, you definitely. I read Scottie Pippen's autobiography, and basically he talked about, well, from Unguarded, everyone says it's a Michael Jordan hit job. It really isn't. It's his own life experience getting to the NBA, right? Around the same time you got into the NFL, around 87, 88. And essentially the way he recapped it was that, obviously from high school, and from all the way through college and through the NBA, when he got to the NBA, the talent pool, and you can attest to this, the talent pool becomes so much more saturated. You have to work extremely extra hard just to maintain competitiveness to get on the field, right? As opposed to being like the best player in college, the best player in high school, and then so that's kind of like, hey, rookie, welcome to the NFL,
Right. And that's the thing, is they don't realize, rookies don't understand that the older veterans can actually help, even though they tease you a lot, make fun of you, make you do crazy stuff, but it's actually a welcome mat.
Right.
To you. So that's why I just, said, like I said, once I got there, and I was fortunate to have Ray Wallace, who was already on the team. Ray and I played together at Purdue. He took care of me there when I was with the Oilers, showing me around Houston, make sure I knew where to go and where not to go, the places like that. So I had him there also guiding me and helping me through those days. But like I said, it's once you get there, you still have to put in the work to stay on point of trying to make the team.
100%. So it's kind of, and you kind of allude to it. So their first couple seasons in Houston, right? I mean, pretty much you guys had experienced some really good success. I think that first year you made it to playoffs, lost in the divisional. Next year you made the wild card, and Warren Moon was your quarterback, so it made it a little bit easier, to kind of get to to the promised land. And you were basically kind of young upstart DB gunning, being able to kind of be effective, in the different schemes that, if I'm not mistaken, Buddy Ryan was he the defensive coordinator or the head coach or during that time or no?
Yeah, one time Coach Ryan was our coach. Like I think it was in '94 or somewhere around there.
Okay, so later on, but like the early
Later
years,
on,
yeah,
early years, it was Coach Glanville really called the defense
got it. Okay,
for us, right in and there. And Coach Glanville's system really worked for the style that I did at Purdue. We played bump and run. Woodson was on the right side, I was on the left side, and we played bump and run and cover the guy in front of you. Don't let the guy in front of you catch the ball. We're good.
Yeah.
So it was I was just fortunate for me that I was able to get in a system like that. That's all they played. Because at Purdue, I never backpedaled. I didn't learn how to backpedal until Pat Thomas and Rod Perry came in and showed me, and Nick was trying to show me a little backpedal, but we never really worked on backpedal because Jerry wanted press corners in your face and press, and that's all I did was press, and I loved that because that was my game. So Coach Perry and Coach Thomas really taught me how to backpedal because I didn't really know how to backpedal. So it's just different coaches taught me different things in life that helped me in my career moving forward. But if I was be drafted by a team who played zone, I probably wouldn't be sitting in front of you today. I probably would have been already cut because I wasn't that type of player. I wasn't a zone corner. I was a man-to-man corner. I was a guy that you tell me take this guy, I take this guy. He ain't catching the ball, no matter if he's Jerry Rice, John Taylor, Alvin Harper, no matter Andre Reed, whoever. This guy's not catching the ball. If he catches the ball, he better have a great catch because he's not catching the ball over me. So that's what my mentality was each and every time. So that's what the system I got into, and I think that's helped me along my career also.
100%. And kind of, let's also talk about kind of your favorite matchup then. During your years in Houston, who did you, as a man corner, who did you enjoy going up against the most?
Mike Irvin.
Yeah.
Because I always want to go against Irvin because of the noise. He used to always talk and telling me I couldn't cover him. He was open. I'm like, Mike, I'm right here by you. What you mean, man? Troy doesn't need to throw me the football. It's just he was just so competitive.
Yeah.
He kept you competitive each and every play because you knew that the ball was coming his way, or he was forcing the ball his way.
Yeah.
Same thing was playing against a guy like Jerry Rice and Andre Reed. They knew the number one receiver was going to get the ball. Always wanted to be on the number one receivers because I knew they was going to get the ball. So if I can shut them down and play versus good with them, then that just elevate me as a corner.
100%. You play up to your competition. So I think that's definitely a valid take. And I was glad to hear your perspective on that. Let's talk about your 1991 season, your best season arguably of your career. You basically led the league in or I think you're third in the league in interceptions. Or did you lead the league in interceptions? Or what was it, third?
I think it was third, somewhere around there.
Yeah, third with 6 interceptions. You had 7 straight games with a takeaway or turnover. And I remember there's one game in particular where you basically intercepted John Elway and he went straight to the house. And number 28. So that jersey right behind Chris, all the listeners or viewers watch on YouTube, that was the jersey, the kind of the powder blue with the white 28. Basically takes it to the house, there's a little dance. I'm like, oh my God, man, Chris came into play. I love to see it. I love to see it. So talk to me about that 91 season. We basically blossomed to a first team All-Pro and a Pro Bowl caliber defensive back.
Well, the year before that, one of our other corners, Richard Johnson, made the Pro Bowl.
Okay.
And usually when you make the Pro Bowl, the next year, the teams kind of shy away from it. You don't want to throw you away.
Right.
So with Richard making the Pro Bowl, I realized that, hey, if he made the Pro Bowl, everything's going to come towards me. I'm the weak link. So I had to make sure that they realized that I'm not a weak link. You may throw it over here, but you can eventually change your mind and go back to the other side. So that was my motto. every year when I played from 88 to 2000, I went to train down in San Diego. I trained with a track guy named Ron Shetfield. He used to coach at San Diego State. And every year I used to go train. The season was over with in January. By March the 10th, and I always pick March the 10th, was the day I was in San Diego, and I trained March, April, come back for mini camp in May, go back out there, then come back to our regular camp in June or July. So I used to go out there and train. I used to go out to train with him before these trainers and everybody now start popping up. I used to run track. I was big in track, running track, and I always kept myself in the best shape of my life, you know, because I felt like that when I came to camp, I had to be ready to go. And I think that's what helped me bolster my career and helped me in 91 too, of actually going out there. And because I usually go one session with him, in 91, I ended up going 2 sessions with him. And going 2 sessions, I think my body was in the best shape that I've ever been. And from 91 on, I started going to both sessions with him. And it really helped me throughout my career of keeping myself in shape. You know, like I said, I don't mention Coach Shetfield a lot of my success, but he is part of my success also because his drills, his track workouts, and I am a firm believer that every skilled player need to run track.
Yeah.
You have to get off the basketball court, get off those basketball courts. I know basketball's fun, but you get yourself with a track coach who teach you the fundamentals of running, knowing how to breathe and stuff like that. It will work better for you than basketball. So like I said, I used to go there every year and train, and I just had to blossom myself because I knew that every ball was coming my way.
And pretty much with that, you know, kind of now that you know that your side of the field will be open, what was your favorite play from that year? You know, or your favorite highlight, you know, from the 91 season?
Wow, that's a great question. I got to take a minute and think about
Absolutely.
that one.
Take your time.
I gotta say we played the Dolphins.
Okay.
Somehow we played the Dolphins, and what is his name? The running back, Smith something, Sammy Smith.
Yeah.
They jumped over and was about to score, and he fumbled. And I was covering my guy and felt, covering my guy and looked. Excuse me. I covered my guy and looked, and I saw the ball there, and I just hopped on the ball. And I think that was the one that broke the record of that many games with some type of turnover, forced fumble, fumble recovery, interception. So I think that game right there, because I never knew a record like that exists.
Right.
Until after I was asked by Mark Berman, one of our beat writers, and John McClain, one of our 2 beat writers that was all us. They asked me about how to feel breaking a record of such game in a row, and I looked like, is it a record like that? And I was like, yeah. It was like, is it? And I was like, wow. I guess it felt great because I never knew that type of record existed. So I think that's probably one of my favorite moments in 91, breaking a record I did not know that exists.
Yeah, 100%. You know, you broke a record, you didn't know it exists, and you went ahead and became what were named to the All-Pro team with the names you mentioned, Jerry Rice, you know, Joe Montana, like all the greats, and pretty much cement yourself as one of the elite players, you know, at the position. You know, it must have been truly remarkable, I have to say, you know. And obviously because you with the team as you played with, right, with Warren Moon and, you know, the other guys, you know, I mean, I'm sure there's many names you can get through, right? I mean, it just must have been a great kind of honor, you know, to be a part of that All-Pro team.
It was, and the Pro Bowl. I think at the Oilers we had 8 or 9 guys on the Pro Bowl team that year. I'm not really sure on the number. I got to be stat check on that one.
Yeah.
But I think we had 8 or 9 guys that go to the Pro Bowl. Bruce Matthews, Ray Childress, Warren Moon, Haywood Jeffries, Ernest Givens, I think, made it. William Fuller. We had, like I said, we had about 9. Munchak, Matthews. We had 4 or 5, 3 offensive linemen. I think 2 defensive linemen. I think Al Smith made it that year, a linebacker, myself. You know what I'm saying? We had a lot of guys that year going to the Pro Bowl. So playing with the Houston Oilers, we always had a good team from 88 to the years to 96 I left.
Yeah.
getting into the playoff was not an issue for us.
Right.
I know it sounds cocky, but it wasn't, because we had a very, very good team I say from 89 to 94. That Houston Oilers team, I will put that against any team out there today, and we will kick their butt, because we had a very good skilled setting team, a very good team, guys who loved the game, guys who fought for each other, So I think that team is probably some of the best teams I've played on, talent wise and mental. Mentally, we were so mentally strong, couldn't nothing break us. I think everyone had an attitude, move on to the next play, no matter what happened. Yeah, we used to fuss at each other, get mad at this person, but move on to the next play. It can't stop us. Just move on to the next play. So that's what I liked about those teams from 89 to 94. We had some of the most dominant teams there, but we just couldn't get over that hump in the playoff. And that's what it hurt. We just couldn't get over that hump.
But considering who your competition was, I mean, it's very understandable why you couldn't. And the Buffalo Bills during that they used 98, 89 to 94, right? From 90 to 94, 93, 94, right? The Bills were pretty much running the AFC. I mean, it's almost impossible to see, any other team, be able to kind of, trump that. So, I mean, at the end of the day, even though you weren't able to get over the hump, it's very difficult to win the NFL. And I think your playoff success, in addition to your individual success, in addition to the amount of Hall of Famers and Pro Bowl talent your rosters had throughout those years, those six, however many years, I think that is a testament to the overall legacy of the Houston Oilers, for your run there.
And also that now that I know we're speaking, that we need to go and see how many Houston Oilers are coaching.
Right.
We got a lot of Houston Oilers are coaching, so you have just as far as our head coaches, you have Eddie Robinson down there at Alabama State, Eddie George at Tennessee State, Bo McDowell there at Prairie View A&M. So we have 3 Houston Oilers that coaching at HBCUs. I'm coaching. We have a lot of coaches that coaching in, we have one guy at Clemson. We have coaches that's coaching at different aspects, college, high school, professional. So that's what we need to go around and see, is pick out all the Houston Oilers that's out there coaching. I bet we probably have the most guys coaching than any other team.
100%. A true testament.
I don't know if that's true or not.
It's okay. On the Digitally Dreaming Off the Ground podcast, we stat check whenever we feel like it. It's all right.
Yeah, stat check that. Stat check that. Let me know.
Will do. No, absolutely right. Mike Munchak was one name that immediately came to mind. For the recent as a head coach in the NFL. So I totally agree. I mean, and that's a true testament, in my opinion, too, of your legacy. If you're able to kind of get those coaching gigs, because that shows how skilled and how versed you were up here at your position, at your role.
Yes,
so
Munchak coached for a while. Bruce Matthews coached for a long time. Mike, of course, was the head coach of the Titans for a while. So it's very interesting to see that.
100%. Now let's talk about, near the end of your, basically, yeah, we'll get to the end, 96, and basically your free agency. That was last year as the Houston Oilers, because they're moving to Tennessee. And obviously, I mean, that must have been a point of contention for you, right? Talk to me about kind of how you felt about the move and kind of what inspired you to sign with the Washington football team during that offseason.
Well, my contract was up.
Okay.
My contract was up, and it wasn't about the money. It was about the principle of everything for me. And the city of Houston been great to me on and off the field. And I just felt like I was betraying the city of Houston moving on to Tennessee. There's nothing wrong with Tennessee. I have a sister lived there in Nashville. It's nothing about the Tennesseans. It's just I always felt like that I was betraying the people of Houston if I left and go on and play with the Tennessee Oilers, or what was they called, the Tennessee Oilers at the time.
Yeah.
And just fortunate for me, my contract was up, and sometimes you have to go somewhere new to get the respect, go somewhere else to get the respect that you think you deserve. And sometimes you stay at a job long enough, people just take you for granted. And I thought I was being taken for granted. And I felt like that I had to go elsewhere to prove myself, not only to others, but to me. And I'm a more person, I got to prove myself to me. And if the others like it or don't like it, I can't worry about that. The only person who guides my steps is God. If God like it, then everyone else gotta like it, you know. So I don't worry about what other people say about me or what they think about me. That's not my issue. That's your issue that you have to get over. But my issue is I have to please God. I have to please myself. So that was one of the issues. I just felt like I was betraying the people of Houston. And I was like, I can't, I'd rather go somewhere else and play than go down to Tennessee and be the Tennessee Oilers, because I could never see myself calling them the Tennessee Oilers, because it's only one team, it's the Houston Oilers.
100%, you know, and to kind of your point about your contract being taken for granted, you basically got a very nice pay bump by signing with the Washington football team during that 96 offseason, right? And so, I mean, how did that feel for you? I mean, kind of the respect that you were given by the franchise, signing with, you know.
Well, it was not only the pay, it was the person that I was about to go play with, Daryl Green. How many guys can go leave a team, be the number one person, and go play for a guy like Daryl Green? Go play with a guy like
Daryl Green, right?
You know,
yeah.
he said I had a great opportunity to even further my career of playing with someone like that, because I know I can trust Daryl. I knew he was going to do everything he had to do. And I was trying to figure out how teams was going to throw the football, because they can't throw it my way. They can't throw it Daryl's way. So how they was going to throw the football. So I was very fortunate to be match up with a guy like him and play 2 years with him, you know, because Daryl is just a super individual. He got me stronger in my faith in God. He got me stronger as a football player, got me stronger as a person individually, just because of him. You know, a quick story. He always used to keep Tootsie Rolls in his sock. And that's what he used to eat, is Tootsie Rolls, Tootsie Rolls. And I'd be like, man, you eating a lot of Tootsie Rolls. He's talking about giving him his fuel. Tootsie Rolls was his fuel power. But we're sitting in the dining hall one day after our first practice. And he stopped eating and told me, I got to go run. I'm like, what are you doing? We just got out of practice. He said, no, man. He said, I like to run every day after practice, a mile, just keep my body loose. So he stopped eating, ran outside to the track and ran a mile. And as I got through eating and come out, he's still running a mile. And that's how he stayed fast so long, because of how he took care of his body. You know, what he put in and what he put out, and what he watches, what he put in his body. So that got me on the health kick of watching what I put in my body. But I was like, well, Tootsie Rolls is just as bad as anything else. But he always said Tootsie Rolls was his favorite candy as a kid, and he still today eat Tootsie Rolls.
That's amazing. The fastest player in NFL history is just on Tootsie Rolls.
Just on Tootsie Rolls.
You learn something new every day on the Digitally Dreaming Out the Ground podcast. Appreciate you sharing that story, Chris.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your resurgence in Washington with Daryl Green, the 97 Pro Bowl and All-Madden Team season. Talk to me about that.
Well, you know, Madden used to just do NFC games, I believe.
Right.
When he started, just all NFC. It wasn't AFC games he did. But as an AFC player, you always used to watch the All-Madden, who he's going to pick for the All-Madden team. And you'd be like, oh, man, I should be on this team. You know, you always, of course, compare yourself to this player. I'm better than this player. I should be on that team. But he's always picked NFC guys because of the games, all the Madden teams, the games he have broadcast. And finally, now I'm on the NFC side. And in 97, when I got the honor to make the All-Madden team, getting the call and talking to him, and I made the All-Madden team, it was just a huge honor. It was felt like I won the Super Bowl of being made the All-Madden team. And that was just, like I said, a big honor that happened. I still have my jacket and my sweatshirt somewhere around here, but
yeah,
it's a blessing to be named that. You know, that was probably that's probably one of my most cherished moments right there, is being named the All-Madden team.
100%. No, it definitely was an honor. You know, kind of up there. You know, kind of with the Pro Bowl and All Pro, right?
Right.
And because I mean, same players almost. You know, if you really think about it, and it's the same level of being considered one of the elite of the elite. You know, from Madden. God rest his soul, John Madden. You know, obviously the Raiders. You know, winning yesterday. You know, for them. You know, I mean, it's awesome. You know, to kind of see that. But you know, obviously, you know, for you, you know, being in that new system, being in a new team, playing with a new style, with a new scheme, right, with a new defensive coordinator, but still being able to kind of prove that you're one of the elite, type of defenders at the cornerback position must have been a great, type of experience. I almost feel like when you look at the 90s decade, the first half is like it's split, right? Because you have the Joe Montanas, kind of Dallas Cowboys, right, in that first half. The second half, it's just the Denver Broncos, Shannon Sharp, Brett Favre's, right, and the Sterling Sharps, all those guys, right? And essentially, to kind of show that you were elite in two different kind of, years in that entire decade, to me, that's truly remarkable. So, kudos to you on that.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. Like I said, playing with a guy like Daryl Green was amazing, because I knew so I was like, he'd make a play, like I better make a play,
right.
So we had so much on the field competition, was crazy, that it helped to elevate both of our games,
100%. So kind of talk to me about what when your contract with the Washington football team expired, and then you went to decide to join Minnesota. Kind of what was that experience like for you?
I unfortunate, they I really didn't want to leave Washington, but they had an opportunity to draft Champ Bailey. And it was me or Champ Bailey. Well, of course, knowing that I know Champ and what great player he is, and I was getting a little bit older in age. I understand that football is also a business. It's also a great sport, but it's also a business. And I understood the business aspect of it. They had a chance to get such a superior player like a Champ Bailey, that they had to take that chance. You can't cut the legend of all legends, Daryl Green. So I was expendable, and I'm fine with that, because I was able to move on to another team. But anytime you have a chance to get a guy like Champ Bailey, you got to jump all over it, and make that whoever you got to cut and what you ever got to do to get, you have to do it. So, and that's what happens. The business of the sport came to play, and I was good with it. I'm okay with it.
100%. Obviously, just like, for me, I was cut 3 times in the AFL and the AIF. And then before I finally made a roster, you know what I mean? I got invited to combine tryouts, and it is what it is. At the end of the day, you just got to roll the punches. And, like you said, football is a business, and just like any other company is a business, they go through layoffs, they look at their needs, right? It is what it is. So, I think that's some of the lessons that are transferable to life off the gridiron, right? So, and we're about to get there, but let's go and wrap up your career, right, with Minnesota. You got to play Randy Moss, Chris Carter, Dante Culpepper, you guys, and Randall Cunningham. Was Randall there, or was he not there?
No, Randall was gone.
He was gone, right? Okay.
He's gone, yes.
Okay, and pretty much you guys made the NFC Championship game your last season there. So talk to me about your experience in Minnesota.
Well, the Minnesota experience was great. Being with Coach Green, he was Coach Green was a good offensive-minded coach. He was good to talk to understand the schemes of why the offense attacked this or why the offenses do that. I sit around and talk to him about different schemes of how would you attack me, and he's giving me pointers and different stuff. Here's how I would attack you. Like he used to tell me, he said, I wouldn't attack you in the first quarter or the second quarter. He said, he used to tell me that, as the game go on, you get comfortable of lackadaisical sort of knowing that you're not going to get no balls your way, then that's how I would attack you. And that was good to know, because that left the mark in my mind that I can't get lackadaisical sometimes.
Right.
So, it's just being able to talk to him about how teams will attack me, how if he was on the other opposing offensive coordinator, what would you do for me? Like he would tell me that I'm a move myself early. He was going to throw double moves on me early to back me off, because he said I was known as a squatter. I used to squat a lot, but I used to tell him it's not really squatting, it's technique. He used to always tell me that that's what I would do. He would double move me early to back me off of squatting or try to jump on plays or make plays, so many times to back me off and make me play cautious. So, just hearing stuff like that, that's what I used to like about Coach Green.
100%. Coach Green was a great offensive mind, great passionate coach, right? As everyone knows, soundbite, we let him get away, right? But essentially, he definitely was great. He also coached here in Sacramento for the UFL for a little bit, so it was cool. Having seen that. So, but yeah, ultimately now, obviously, you got to kind of wind out your career in Minnesota, 13 years. And obviously, I don't want to get into it, but I just have to ask the Antonio Freeman Monday Night Football play. If you want to, we don't have to. I just wanted to ask.
I don't mind talking about that player.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's the experience that happened.
Right.
And I use that experience as coaching today of telling my guys that you got to finish.
Right.
You know, you got to finish the play.
Right.
Well, a lot of things people don't understand about that play is 3 or 4 plays before that, Brett Favre was throwing him the ball and it hit the ground. He scooped it up like that. He took off running. And I'm like, dude, the ball hit the ground. What are you doing? So I didn't think nothing of it. So when that play happened, you know, it went through my hands down my back to him, you know, I didn't finish the play. And once again, you know, he tipped, and once he started running, as you see, I have a chance to tackle him, but I'm thinking he's doing the same thing he did 3 or 4 plays later. You know, I was like, I'm not wasting my energy chasing you and tackling you, and the ball was on the ground. But as I look up at the projector, not the projector, the Teletron, I see that he actually caught it, and I looked, and I was like, and I said some choice words, and just walked into the locker room because I knew that it was a catch. So
Right.
it was one of those things that I tell my players, I actually show my players about finishing, about when you have an opportunity to make the play, then make the play. You know, I had an opportunity to end the game right then and there, or put us in the position of winning the game. But unfortunate, I did not make it. So, you know, it's a learning tool that I still use. It's a learning tool that I don't mind talking about it. It's something that I can say it happened, and hey, I have to live with it and say, here's the reason why it happened. I didn't finish the play. I have covered, you know, such good receivers before, and Antonio Freeman, to his credit, he made the play. And if you make the play, you make the play. Simple as that.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
All about finishing, right?
All about finishing. Yes, finish what you started, and I didn't finish.
That's exactly what my coach and when I was coaching Whitney High School 2 years ago before the pandemic hit, you know, I'd always tell my receivers, right? Because I'd be like, you got to finish, you know,
Yeah.
you got to finish. And what's one thing a DB coach? Now we're gonna talk about coaching, right? But pretty much, well, one thing a DB coach would always say, or my receiver coach in college, JUCO would say to me, what DB coach would be telling the DBs would be like, you don't let him get inside you, right? Do not let him get inside you, right? Because the moment he gets one step inside you, you know. And I mean, there's so many little nuances to your point. And now we can pretty much wrap up your career with making an NFC Championship game. You finished out your NFL career, 13 seasons, 43 interceptions. And by the way, to this day, you are Cris Dishman, to all listeners and viewers out there, is the second all-time interception leader in Tennessee Titans and Houston Oilers history with 31, which is truly remarkable. Only behind Jim Norton with 45.
Oh wow.
So, yeah.
Well, he had 45 is a lot, man. He was balling back then, but
Yeah, you know, I mean, in the 60s, you know, different time, different story. So, but hey, you know, and you end up your career, you know, I mean, with Antonio Freeman, cash be damned, you made the NFC Championship game, so it was a good way to go out, right?
right.
So, talk to me about when you're going through retirement and your transition to coaching, kind of what when that first coaching opportunity opened up for you.
Well, Alonzo Highsmith, a very good friend of mine, from the Miami, and played it with me at the Oilers and Dallas. He was in scouting. He was scouting. I think he was with the Packers, I believe, at the time. I'm not really sure on that, but I think he was with the Packers. And he told me that I need to get into coaching, and he had some guys he wanted me to train. And so I started training those guys, and that's how I got into coaching. You know, he told me, he said, man, you're too good of a player. You need to coach, blah, blah, blah. And he talked me into coaching. So I ended up calling around to different people, trying to get a coaching job. And Charlie Cashley, who was at the Redskins when I was there, he was at the Texans. I called him. He said, well, if you're really interested in coaching, there's a league starting, NFL Europe. He said, go there and see if you really want to coach. And that's when I went to NFL Europe. I coached with the Berlin Thunder. Jim Tom Sula, the great defensive line coach, head coach for the 49ers for a while.
Yes, sir.
He was the defensive coordinator.
Right.
I was the DB coach. And him and I used to sit down and draw cards downstairs in that basement at the Marriott, and draw cards and talk football. And I just got the coach's bug from that point on, and went from the Berlin Thunder, came back to the States, and I just wanted to coach, no matter if it was Division I, Division II, Division III, high school. I just wanted to coach. I did not want to let this coaching bug lead. Went out to Menlo College, Division III school there in the Bay Area. Was the DB coach the first year, was the defense coordinator, DB coach the second year. Then 08, Coach Turner called me, and I was assistant defensive back coach there for the Chargers from 08 to 13. So that's how I started my coaching career. 13, and then I went from 13, went to Baylor from 13 to 16. Then from Baylor, went to what was the no, not the USFL, went to Canadian football, from Canadian football back to McNeese, from McNeese back to XFL. No, yeah, XFL, then to IMG. So, excuse me, I'm sorry.
Of course.
So that's how I started my coaching career, and I wouldn't see myself doing nothing else but coaching.
100%, because coaching, you basically get to kind of the lessons that you've learned as a player that you can't physically do anymore, right? In terms of making play, reading coverages, it's just so much better to give that back to that next generation of athletes, right? And being able to develop, and and obviously, through your experiences, you have a lot more credence, with the locker room of the guys you're trying to the skill position guys you're trying to get, over that hump. And I just want to say for Menlo, I was actually supposed to walk on at Menlo from West Valley College in Saratoga. If you're familiar with West Valley College, we had a program up until 2000 till 2013, yeah. And then I played there from played 09. After my coach went from SGC to Fresno State, and then I was supposed to walk on. I decided to go for the San Jose Sabercats combine. So if I show you this, you may not be able to see that, but that jersey right over there, the green one, that's basically my Sabercats when I was at that combine. So it was pretty fun.
Gotcha. Yeah. So like I said, I really enjoy coaching. I really enjoy coaching DBs, the technique. I really enjoy the when you see the technique working, when you set a game plan up and it actually works, and you tell the guys that this worked, and he come back all excited. Hey, coach, what you told me, I tried and it worked. And the best thing I love about coaching is the players. To this day, no matter where I coach, even when I coached at Menlo College, I still keep in touch with my DBs. San Diego, XFL, New York Guardians. Even I did a stint with Your Call Football. I did a stint with Your Call Football. I still keep in touch with my guys there at Baylor. Like I said, I still keep in touch with the guys. And that's the thing I'm more proud about is, I was hard on them, but they knew that I loved them, and they knew that I was trying to teach them right. And as a coach, if you can realize that you can be hard on guys, and guys can take coaching, but you also got to love them, and you also got to tell them right from wrong, and you always got to treat them with respect. And I think that's what I love the most about coaching is every player will know that I love them, and every player know that I'm trying to be the best for them. So I'm trying to get them where they want to go.
100%. No, I think that's definitely a key lesson and a key principle of coaching, to know that, hey, you keep in touch with your players. Like even for me, with Coach Dub, who's now on the Ravens, who actually was in the XFL for a little bit. Were you in the XFL in 2019 or 2020?
2020. That was the New York Guardians.
Oh, you're getting 2020. Yeah, I know. So you may not know Coach Keith Williams or Darius Prince. I basically, those are those two guests on the show. Darius Prince was actually the first guest on the show. He played in the AFL. Then he got into the Eagles practice squad without playing football in college. It's insane. Wow. Yeah. So and that's the whole that's for me, that's the whole point of football. It's just supposed to everyone's at different levels. Everyone, like you said, high school, D1, D3, D2, JUCO, pro, whether it's the XFL or the NFL or the CFL, wherever, there's different lessons you can learn. And football has grown so tremendously, obviously not just in the States and Canada, but also, like to your point, in Europe and now anywhere across the world. I remember I was in Morocco not too long ago, and I was doing a little camp over there for the kids, because they have football over there too now, believe it or not.
Wow.
So,
Yes, great.
yeah. It's awesome. So I love seeing the sport grow. And I love just kind of the interlinking, kind of, or the synergies, like kind of like, your parallels, they align with me, which may align to someone else who may be listening or watching this,
Correct,
So
correct.
yeah, awesome. Talk to me about your favorite moment as a coach, as like in the game. What was your favorite game, or maybe like your favorite moment so far in your coaching career?
Oh well, one of my favorite moments when I got one of my players. Everyone was telling me that he won't be able to graduate. He couldn't graduate. He don't go to class. He don't do this. And I got him to graduate with honors.
Wow.
Because I was able to stay on him for forever. I used to go and knock on his door, pick him up, take him to class, make sure he do his homework. I think that was probably one of my biggest challenges of making him graduate. I think it was one of my greatest challenges of making him graduate and getting a degree and letting them realize that football may not last forever as long as you have your degree.
Right.
And to this day, him and I talk to each other at least once or twice a week, and he still reminds me of the story of when I picked him up. And he was mad of me picking him up, but now he's so grateful that I did pick him up from school. As coaches, you gotta go out your way. You just can't do a 9 to 5. Coaching is not 9 to 5. If you're trying to be a coach and you're trying to work a 9 to 5, that's not going to work. Coaches sometimes is 6 a.m. in the morning to sometimes 12, 1, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and you have to love what you do. And I love what I do. And I will continue to be a coach to probably the day I die because of the relationships I have with my players. And plus I just love it. It just gives me that goosebump energy that, if I can't do it no more, but I can do it through your legs. You let me have your mind, and then if I have your mind, you use your young legs, I can get you where you want to get to, and that would be my satisfaction.
Football is 90% mental, 90% mental. So the 10% physical, right? You're living, it's vicariously being carried out through your players.
Correct. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And to your point, same thing with me. Like, I mean, I remember the reason I didn't play in high school is because I was knuckling my first couple of years, but I ended up turning it around and graduating semester early and walking on JUCO. And when I met Coach Dub, he basically said, like, yeah, can you work hard and can you stay committed to class? You can't slack off, because what you're going to realize very quickly is that, even as a junior collegiate athlete, you're going to have to figure out ways to schedule your practices or schedule your classes around the practices, and then make sure you maintain the minimum GPA requirement, right? To your point, working with that student, depending on who you are, you might be able to do it, you might not be able to do it. And I gained such a broad appreciation for the sport just through my own experiences, in college, right? Because I was like, wow, because if you never play, you're gonna have different perceptions, like, oh yeah, these guys are just whatever, right? Or like, whatever, like they're not that good at school, they don't care about their grades, which may be true to a point, but at the end of the day, like when you actually have to go out and do it yourself, you tend to really get a rude awakening,
Right.
So right. It's a great. So yeah. And I'm pretty proud about the wall behind me. This is all non-football stuff you're seeing right here. So
Oh, we got you. Great. I'm sure your parents are proud of you also.
I appreciate it. No, they definitely are. But more importantly, like you said, that goosebumps feeling, right? Coaching gave me that, but now that, coaches have been kind of been put on hold at the high school, whatever level, right? Now just doing the podcast and hearing these stories is what gives me that goosebumps, kind of.
Right. Okay,
Yeah,
got you.
absolutely. So talk to me about, well, I guess now, is there, for you, kind of what are your New Year's resolutions for 2021 about maybe with IMG? Talk to me a little bit about what IMG does and kind of how that model is for coaching.
That's good for like coaches who don't want to be like teach. And if you don't want to teach or nothing like that, because we're all football, we don't have to teach. We don't have to go in classes and nothing like that. They have teachers and stuff for that. But it's a sports school. So whatever if you get into one of your sports and you have a chance to go there, it's a sports school. You have morning sports and then evening classes. So it's good for individuals who have that, and it's a prep school for college. It's prepping you for college.
Okay, excellent. So talk to me about your New Year's resolutions. Any closing thoughts about your career? Anything for our listeners and viewers out there?
No, I'm just trying to let God lead my steps where I may go. Like I said, I'm working on my GOAT skills. I'm trying to do a GOAT skills camp. I got goatskills.com. It's one of my websites I like to do, and it's of course it's all about teaching DB stuff and drills, and I have conditioning stuff on there. And then I'm also working with a company, Change Our Numbers. It's all about changing your numbers, changing whatever number you have, changing that number. And it's people always think it's a football related or sports related, but it's more of your inner numbers, your blood pressure, your heart rate, your cholesterol and stuff like that. It's all about healthy eating. I've been now a vegan almost going on 2 years now. So that have changed my lifestyle as more than anything. It's kept my weight down. It changed my numbers. My cholesterol went down. My high blood pressure went down. And it's just, it's a thing that's, as you get older, I don't know how old you are, but as you get older, you have to watch what you eat. Can't have you can't have the McDonald's, even though I did a McDonald's commercial, a 2 for 2 McDonald's commercial. You just can't have the McDonald's every day and stuff like that. You have to watch what you eat. You have to change your numbers. And last week, I got involved with a ministry called suitupministry.org, and I'm started working with them and just started using my platform to pretty much get them out there and stuff. So I try to use my platform for positive things. I've been working with the Boys and Girls Club, and I've been working with the Diabetes Foundation, and then Alzheimer's Foundation. I've done stuff with the Alzheimer's Foundation. So I'm just trying to do stuff that's like Alzheimer's dear and near to me. Unfortunately, my dad passed away last September of Alzheimer's, was such a tragedy disease that we cannot find a cure for Alzheimer's. We can find a cure for everything else. Well, Alzheimer's, we so say, can't find a cure for. So that's what I'm pushing myself to, is doing more for the Alzheimer's that way. So that way someone else can find a cure for that one day.
100%. And to answer your question, I'm 31. So I remember watching you when I was 7 years old. It was great. And so, yeah, but I mean, cholesterol is actually, even for me, because I stopped playing in 2018, like semi professionally playing, right? And essentially, I just kept on my same diet without taking care of myself, like exercise wise, right? And not keeping track of it. So my LDL was up to like 168, something ridiculous. Wow. Yeah. And then my dad's a cardiologist. So he gave me statins, and I changed my diet, and then it dropped down to 48.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. It's just watching your numbers. As ex-players, we just think our metabolism won't slow down, but your metabolism actually slow down. So we just eat. The next thing you know, you see yourself. You see yourself at 180, then all of a sudden you 185, then all of a sudden you 190, then all of a sudden you 198, then all of a sudden you 210, and you just keep going up and up and up. So it's just watching your numbers and changing your numbers is more than anything. It's internal more than external. If you feel good inside, you should feel good outside. It's just like I said, and that's what I'm very proud of Suit Up Ministry and Change Our Numbers, because those organizations help getting stuff out there. Change Our Numbers, part of safety.org. So I know I throw a lot of stuff out there to you, but I just like to get a lot of my stuff that I'm doing out there to people realize that there's maybe 1 or 2 people who listen to this podcast will say, hey, I want to try to do that. I want to try to do this. And, just helping people as you can. We're all going to someday end up in the place that with the golden lights. And just hopefully that when it's our time to come to see those lights, that he's able to let us in those pearly gates, and that he said that you did all that you can do positive to help others. So that's what I'm trying to do.
100%. No, very inspiring, very good words of wisdom, and really good kind of to see all things you're involved with, Cris, and how you transitioned from a playing to your playing career to coaching now, and everything you're doing with Ministry is Light. And obviously, you mentioned everything that how people can get in touch with you. I know you through LinkedIn. How can people get in touch with you otherwise if they want to learn more?
CrisDishman.com. My website's there. If you just go to CrisDishman.com. My Twitter is Cris. Dang, I can't remember. I can never remember. I'm not big in social media, but I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. But the best thing to get, just go to CrisDishman.com, and you can see all my Twitter information and all my social media information right there. It's the best thing you can do. You know what I'm saying? And then go to changeournumbers.org, suitupministry.org, and then just go and give back to organizations that that is doing some good.
100%. No, and Chris, it was very great having you on. I know we're out of time, but really appreciate you coming on the show today. And I mean, I hope that we can do this again soon, where we can talk some more about coaching and different schemes and coverages, and kind of get to a clinic. You know what I mean?
All right, sounds great. Let's make that happen. Maybe we can go over to Morocco. Is there where you say you just
Oh
came from?
yeah. No, I mean, yeah.
Go
If you
there
want to
and
come
have a
with.
clinic. I'd go over there and have a clinic or two. I've never been over there, so it'd be something to do.
It'd be definitely something new. No, and you'll love it. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful country, and the people there are so welcoming, especially Americans. It's like, wow, I love it. So
Right.
yeah, no, it's definitely great. So yeah, definitely. Everyone, Cris Dishman, CrisDishman.com. Ministries of Light, and with the man, the myth, the legend. It was really.
It's a suitupministry.org.
Suitupministry.org.
Suitupministry.org and changeournumbers.org.
Changeournumbers.org. So suitupministry.org, changeournumbers.org, and CrisDishman.com. So, I mean, what y'all waiting for? Get on it. Get your ass back in shape. It's 2022, man. New Year's resolutions. Get that ass to work, baby.
All right.
All right. Chris,
thank you for having me on. Appreciate you.
100%, brother. Take care. Happy 2022. Can't wait to do this again. And watch my Niners whoop that Cowboys ass this weekend. Wait for it.
Let's go. Have a great one, okay?
You too. Take care.
Bye-bye.